Welcome back. We're discussing India's EV roadmap, and to take this discussion forward, we're now joined by Mahesh Babu, Managing Director at Olectra Greentech, and Arun Malhotra, auto industry expert. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the show. Mahesh Babu, if I can come to you first. When we look at the electric vehicle versus hybrid debate, the financial incentives have been for EVs. Yes, some states are also giving financial incentives on hybrids, but the central policy has now become clear with the GST reform. Having said that, if you just look at the August numbers, and I'm looking at retail data from the Federation of Automobile Dealers, if you look at passenger cars, there the percentage of electric car sales was 4.7% in July, 5.3% in August. Hybrids was 8% in July and 8.13% in August. Commercial vehicles, if you look at August sales, EVs were at 2%, hybrids were at 0.04%. So it seems that there is still a demand for hybrid vehicles. Do you feel that this demand will continue irrespective of the fact that there are no special financial incentives for hybrids?
Parikshit, first of all, due to this GST change, nothing has much impacted EV. EV is still at 5%, which was continued to be at 5%. But one benefit we got is because input credit for us was at 28 and 18%, that has come down to much lower, and that's actually helping our working capital going forward. If you look at government, as rightly said, there is a push for EV from the central government, state governments, everything. But we'll have to look at many technologies are going to be in the market. There is going to be hybrid, there is going to be hydrogen, there is going to be CNG, LNG, and other things. I think India's mobility requirements are so high, it's very difficult to discount any technology at this stage right now. But major growth is going to come from EV, which we have seen in various sectors, two-wheelers, cars, commercial vehicles, and many more, three-wheelers and others we have seen. So I would say that EV adoption and the rate of growth of CAGR, what we have been seeing, is not derailed due to any GST. In fact, it helped the working capital to many of the EV companies due to input credit available and cash flow better than that. And while we'll have to watch about other technologies, I think EV has a good future still on terms of growth rate.
Right. Let me take that question also to Arun Malhotra. Mr. Malhotra, what do you feel will be the adoption going forward? Are we going to see EVs and hybrids go side by side, or does this give a clear push and impetus for greater EV adoption?
So if you look at EVs today, I mean, there was a apprehension that EVs above a certain price, say above 25 lakhs, the GST will go up because EVs sell at even 1 crore for super luxury vehicles. That has remained 5%. That's the positive part. But if you look at the gap between EVs and in the compact vehicles, between EVs and ICE vehicles, which was to 23%, has gone to 13%. To that extent, it's a disadvantage. Now, coming with this hybrid, I think one of the questions which is important, even hybrid even didn't gain much, anything from this GST cut. On the other hand, above a certain price, the vehicles which were selling at 43% GST plus cess now has come to 40%, and the bigger SUVs have come from 50 to 40. So there's not much gain as far as GST is concerned also. I think the challenge at this point of time is going to be the next stage, which is the CAFE norms, on which the proposal has been put out, where you are giving bonus points of 3 to EVs and 2 to strong hybrids. So clearly these are two technologies government is betting on, and there is where the major difference will arise. But as far as compact vehicles is concerned, in the short run, it is disadvantage to EVs.
You're saying it's a short run disadvantage to electric vehicles. So let me get in Mahesh Babu at this point again. Mahesh Babu, if you look at data from the International Energy Agency, they say that global electric car sales exceeded 17 million in 2024, rising by more than 25%. 20% of new cars sold worldwide were electric. Plug-in hybrid sales have grown faster than sales of electric vehicles in China. Going forward, when you speak about commercial vehicles and even cars to some extent, do you think that there will always be a market for hybrid vehicles?
Yes, I feel so, because as Arun rightly said, if India has to meet CAFE norms and that if any OEM has to meet the requirement, we need to look at multiple options. EVs, of course, growth will be there. But if you look at weighted average, plug-in hybrids plays an important role in reducing the CAFE norms. Second, plug-in hybrids requirement is also much higher in the countries, I would say, more not tropical, but where there is a climatic condition of cold conditions, because you can't depend on long distance and the consumption is very high. You will see typically plug-in hybrids playing a vital role in these conditions. So plug-in hybrids to some extent, or strong hybrids and plug-in hybrids to some extent will play a vital role. I think what we call in India hybrid, mild hybrids, I think those are all part of the existing sales. But still, I would say that EV will have a lead in most of the growth because of simple zero tailpipe emissions and government's focus in various areas. And consumers are also slowly getting adapted to EV. EV, the biggest inhibitions were the charging infrastructure, which is getting improved day by day, and also the range anxiety. I think both are being well addressed both by government and the industry, and it is going to be a better adoption going forward as well. So most of the plug-in hybrids are going to eat away from petrols and diesel vehicle sale today. I don't think it's going to eat away or reduce anything with EVs penetration.
Okay, Mr. Malhotra, you spoke about CAFE norms. Do you think the next set of CAFE norms will make it even more important for the industry to have more electric vehicles in the portfolio?
So clearly, the petrol and diesel vehicles will be under tremendous pressure because we are talking over 20% reduction in the emission norms from 113 grams per kg to 91. But we must look at the point that what the proposal is. If the 3 points, bonus points are given for EV, hybrid is also getting 2 points. And also flex fuels are getting 1.5. So I think government has not totally put all their bets or all their money on EVs. They're also hedging their bets on hybrids or flex fuels, which are to follow. But clearly, EVs will be the big gainer. Companies which have to conform to the norms of CAFE 3. And the penalties are very, very stiff. And this starts from 2017 March or April. So it's not very far away. To that extent, EV gets a real momentum. The other part is this focus on the PME drive. Although the demand incentives may not be high, but this focus on charging infrastructure, 2,000 crores being spent, 7,000 charging structures and public spaces, I think that should also get the factor of reliance and reassurance back into EV. So EV on the long term, to medium and long term, is on a strong wicket. But hybrid is also there to stay.
Absolutely. Okay. One other point, Mr. Babu, that a lot of people fake, including industry folk, is that you need more strong plug-in hybrid vehicles. You cannot be incentivizing or supporting mild hybrids. What's your view? Do mild hybrids also do the job of giving you better fuel efficiency and also reducing emissions, reducing the environmental impact? Or do you feel that somewhere we should be very clear in our policy making that when you're talking about hybrids, it should be plug-in hybrid vehicles?
Difficult to define what is mild hybrid, what is strong hybrid. I think it's English, very difficult in technical terms. The thing is, hybrid, as long as you use the energy from plug, which is the plug-in hybrid, which is from the grid, which is going to add, then only you are going to create enough differentiation with respect to petrol and diesel burning vehicles. If you have a battery which is getting charged from the engine itself, it's in fact more inefficient than charging from the grid. So we'll have to be a little bit careful on the definition, but there are experts who will define it. My sense and recommendation would be that more and more diesel and petrol vehicles have to move towards plug-in hybrids, and more plug-in hybrids have to move towards EV. That is the right path to get going, and we should not be pitching against each other. More and more new technologies come, clean technologies come. We should look at how to move from grade 1, grade 2 to grade 3, which is the factor given by government for CAFE norms as well.
Right. Arun Luthra, when it comes to electric vehicles, what's the next phase of support that you are expecting from the government? The PM e-Drive scheme will end in March next year. The government has through the Niti Aayog given an assurance that it will continue, support will continue, perhaps for public transport, those sectors and electric vehicles which really need it, charging infrastructure, maybe not for sectors where we've already seen high levels of electrification. What do you think should be the policy road ahead, considering we're not close to a milestone or our target of 30% electrification?
So one of the challenges is that the incentive on demand incentive on electric vehicles, which used to be very high, passenger vehicles, it doesn't exist because even fleet has been taken away in the PME drive. Two-wheelers, it is 10,000 per vehicle, which used to be at some time 30,000. And from the 1st of April 2026, it becomes 5,000. So clearly demand incentive is not going to be the key factor. The two factors is one, this GST gap, which is there, 5% should continue and will continue. That's a positive drive. The second is in the CAFE norms, which are just around the corner. This strong disincentive for petrol and diesel to meet the norms will give a fillip to electric vehicles. And last but not the least is, unlike the electronics industry or other industries, the PLI scheme has been a slow starter in the auto industry. And the PLI and the advanced cell chemistry was to help electric vehicles. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of action happening, but if you look at the disbursals, against the 25,000 crore budget, only 3% has been disbursed. To that extent, that is going to be the bigger point, creating infrastructure, creating components that we are not dependent on markets, which reduces prices, and then move to the CAFE norm. So these two are going to be the strongest combination for driving electric vehicle. Demand incentive, I don't think is part of it. And the second last part is the charging infrastructure, which government is giving a lot of emphasis.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Malhotra and Mr. Mahesh Babu, for joining us, taking out time for CNBC TV 18. And that's it on our special series, Charging Up India's EV Journey. More on the program later. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.